These slides. Show of hands, I guess, who's used PeakD, who knows about PeakD? All right. Well, I'm glad you all know about it because we aren't talking about PeakD this year, so we can skip that and we'll go on to the next subject. But yeah, Peak Monsters. So who's used Peak Monsters? Wow, a lot more Splinterlands players than I expected. That's awesome. Great. Well, it sounds like a lot of people already know about that, so we'll move on to the next subject. All right, so who knows about Peak Open projects? Okay, I was expecting like 5 of you, and this was going to be more exciting, But I actually talked to a bunch of people, and they didn't know about it, so I'm excited to share about Peak Open projects, and we're going to hit the next button. Peak Open projects is actually presently 7 different projects, 6 different developers, and actually for a moment, we're going to have 3 of them are here today, and they'll stand for a second. 3 of the developers, and one of them you will know from PeakD and Peak Monsters. Sergio, my business partner here, he works on those, and he also works on Peak Open projects, which has a proposal. And I'm going to repeat this several times today. Peak Open Projects is our project. It's a community type project because the developers here don't work for PeakD. They came from the community. They wanted to work on one of these different projects, and I'll kind of go over them quickly. And so right now it's being funded by the reward pool. Sorry, not the reward pool. The Hive funding pool. Okay, so these are the projects that we're going to go over real quick, and I'll just go over them so we can skip this slide, but you can take a look at them. Here's the first 4, and the next 3, and then we'll talk about some of the options that we can do next, because this, again, is a community-type project. So let's just quickly go over, well, here's the developers. Asgarth, as you know from Peak Monsters, PeakD, I help with, I'm not a developer. I do testing and design. And then we got someone that helps with our posts to keep you guys updated. And then Yozen is here, and Igor is here as well. And then maybe there's some developers here or listening or later on that see this presentation and that want to be involved because, again, this is a group project for open source software to benefit the entire Hive ecosystem. So this isn't, while we have created a website called hivehub.dev to kind of give the first place for these projects to live, the first of what we hope is many different places for them to live, we've created a site. And so up there, we've got the Explorer, we got Witness, Proposals Market, you see notifications, the market, the stats. So we have highlighted some of the projects on this website. It is already functioning and available. We haven't done the best job of making everyone aware, but we're here now giving this presentation so that you can be a little bit more aware. So at the beginning, Hive Hub, it defaults to helping with the Explorer as one of those projects. So we're going to talk about the brand new kind of very beautiful and a little bit more advanced block Explorer for Hive. In fact, that's the next one. So here's a couple screenshots, very small for you guys, I understand, but you can go to hivehub.dev and see a little bit more. Over here, we've got a place where you can go see your profile and see some stats. You can actually go to the top right-hand corner and see all of the stats you would see on like Hive blocks. And we hope that we have it nicely organized so you can kind of see everything about, like we want it to be very, very complete and yet very user-friendly and intuitive for users. And then over here is an example of a transaction page where you're going to see everything, but hopefully also a nice little section at the top to kind of make it understandable if you didn't need to see all the information. So one of the really nice parts about the Block Explorer is that it also validates second layer transactions like Splinterlands and Hive Engine. so that you can go there and see, oh, someone didn't just throw a JSON in there to make it look like they did a real transaction, but we're actually going to those second layers and making sure it's a valid transaction. So if you think about that, if you have other apps, this is open source, this is our project, not Peak's project, this is the community's project, so you can go in there with your app and work on the code to also help validate your second layer transactions as well. And we can help with that, and there's a bunch of developers that will help with that. So we'd love to see it integrated in other sites. This is your project as well. So the next thing that we've done is worked on the internal market. This is obviously internal market is something on the Block Explorer. It's already, it's on the blockchain. It's already been created. What we've done is worked on an interface to make it a little bit more usable, because the last time that the internal marketplace interface had been updated is, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. So, or a couple years probably when the fork. All right, so we have two different ways that we're gonna focus on. On the right-hand side, it's up and running. It's the swap, which is based on orders that are already in the order book. And so someone that just is like, I don't know, I'm just gonna, I want Hive, so I'm gonna put 1,000 HBD in, and boom, it should be done really quickly. But if you want to put in some orders, we're still working on updating that over here. And it is really fuzzy, isn't it? Okay. But you put in the order book, you'll be able to see the order book. We hope you'll be able to see the market prices and all that pretty soon. But one of the really cool things is down here on the bottom right-hand corner is you'll be able to choose a pricing source. So if you want to choose Hive, the value of Hive from CoinGecko, or from the witness feed, or put in manually your own price, we will use the ratios from the market to help you understand what is the Hive dollar related value to that. And so when you're putting in something, you'll be able to see so if you want Hive, you'll be able to see the value of HBD. And it's been really cool each time I go and visit, and when I'm using a source like CoinGecko, the Hive dollar is almost always at $1. Even though you go to other exchanges and it may say, oh, Hive dollar's at 94 cents, 95 cents. But when you're using the value of Hive itself, it seems like Hive dollar is always at about $1. So good job to us for creating a pretty stable US-backed dollar, or Hive-backed dollar, obviously. All right, so that's the second of project that we've been working on. Another project that we're working on is Hive Stats. So the way I like to explain this is as kind of like a repository where people can come in and get stats to use wherever they would like. We don't want you to have to come here, and there's been a lot of different people doing posts like daily or weekly or monthly, saying this is how much has been going to exchanges or coming from exchanges. This is how many comments that have been made on the Hive blockchain. So we're going through, this one right now is on, I believe, posts, daily posts. It's already been upgraded on the view on this. If you go to Hive Hub, is it on beta or is it on the regular? I think it's, so here's a tip. If you want to see the live action, it's on beta.hivehub.dev, and you'll be able to see a bunch of these things. And we'll categorize the stats. Right now, we've got about 8 or 9, but we envision there being dozens of different stats, starting with primarily stats about Hive, and then hopefully we can also go into stats about accounts and stuff like that in the future. And communities and what? And layer 2s and stuff like that. So come join that and help add in stats. It is an open source project for all of us. So, and then we hope to see this not just live on Hive Hub, which is just a place to help give the first view of what these projects could look like. And I may have skipped a slide, probably wasn't important, so we'll just stay here. Notification. So we're going to do a different notification system. We are already doing, it's already being created, it already kind of works. So, but here's the interface example for being able to choose. So we have a notification system right now, but it's not customizable. So we wanted something that was very customizable. If you look up there, we've got core actions, core transactions, but then also second layer as well. So we're starting off with Splinterland, so you can be notified if something's happening, if there's a cooldown on your cards, or if, if someone takes, not cooldown, but like they are trying to unlock them, you know, you would want to be notified about that sort of thing happening. So our notifications, we'll keep expanding which types of notifications, and you can be able to choose. And maybe even be able to do some things granularly, like how big is the vote you want to be notified on? Or who do you want a comment notification from? Like, oh, I don't really want a comment notification from that bot. Thanks, but I don't mind them commenting. Oh, okay. Let me get a little closer. Oh, there we go. We're in the right place. All right. So you can see some of the things that we've got going, some stats running. We've got some stats. Oh, this is way back on stats. I guess we're here now. We're on messaging. So we're going to do a messaging protocol that we hope lots of different people integrate and create their own interface for it. So the developer that's working on this out of Malta, he is been part of Hive for a while now, and he really wanted a messaging system, so he jumped in it with both his feet, and he's creating his own interface right now that he's working on, and then we envision that PeakD will also create an interface and make it look, you know, the PeakD style, maybe Peak Monsters as well, and then we hope lots of different people. But as a protocol, that every site will be able to use that. And we also, on PeakD side, we had started to use a third-party protocol, but it had stopped being developed. And one of the biggest things, it wasn't encrypted from the beginning, and they didn't really have too many plans to do an encrypted version of it. So we wanted an encrypted system, and we also wanted a system that was very tuned to communities, so that communities could create like a group messaging thing, and that it could have different themes inside of it, instead of just one place inside of a community to chat, but you could have different subjects to talk about, kind of like Discord, that sort of thing. So that's kind of going already, and it's not live on the site right now, but we're in testing in it, and I'm sure the developer would be more than excited to have people coming in, testing it with him, and that's also what I help with. I'd be excited if you helped me with my job as well. All right, so encrypted, Hive connected, so that you know that the person that you're talking to is definitely that user. That's one of the big things on that. And so, all right. I've talked enough about it, because at the end, we're going to open for questions about any of the projects, but also any ideas that you have for what's next that we can do as a community, and for projects that help all of Hive. All right, so there's also, we had a project from, actually been a couple years, called Hive Beacon, and it would help identify the nodes, do tests, and see which functions the nodes were doing well or presently not doing well at. So we've extended that to work with Hive Engine functions. So now there's a Hive Engine beacon, and then also a Hive Engine witness list as well, since we had created the witness list open source for everyone for Hive. We also extended that to Hive Engine. So, all right, did I go through any of them? Sergi, did I miss any when I was clicking the button too much? There are 7, so if I missed any, that's great. So we do focus primarily on like user interface type things, but we've got blockchain developers like Block Trades and Howo and Gandalf doing amazing different things. We're a little bit more UI based. So we would love to see something like a new wallet software. That is one of our things that we would love, because we have Keychain as a wallet software that interacts with apps. But we only have Keychain, and so we want to be a little bit more, we would love to see us be a little bit more decentralized as a community, and also kind of push each other and have like other cool features maybe that the community would love to see. Some more economic tools would be awesome, in my opinion. Some RC delegation tools now, kind of more perhaps for apps to be able to use, so we can create an open source application that other applications could quickly implement after the hard fork. So that will probably be a relatively short, small project after the hard fork. Maybe some onboarding type, education type tools that would that lots of apps could be able to use and adapt to what they would need. Those are some of the ideas. Some half-related apps as well. I mean, some of the ideas that when we open it up, I'd love to, like hear any cool ideas or any, here's the next slide. Here's the concept. When we bring in developers, we contact, and that's perhaps where me and Sergio come in, is helping to create a team that will be successful. Make sure that they have some skills in development, that they can work as a team, and they can communicate, and see where they have, is it back-end sort of skills or front-end? How much of our time working on the front end if they can't do that? Because we're also going to have to keep, working on peak monsters, peak D, and that sort of stuff. And then we, if they've come to us with a project, I really, really would love to do messaging. All right, this sounds like that's going to motivate you, so let's have you work on that. And then we set them up and get them on Discord interacting with the other developers. So that's one of the benefits. You're not working in a silo all by yourself on a project, but you've got 7 other developers that are also working on it. They're also working on the GitLab, and they can help you do puts and pushes and all those developer words. And then we set up, thanks to the last hard fork, we set up reoccurring payments from the proposal right to them based on what they would need, and also increase it as they get more and more, so we can keep them from the next project, hopefully, to the next project once they finish these. Because these aren't like super, super long. Some of them are obviously longer projects, but some of them, we hope that they transition to another project after that. And then we just kind of keep checking in, and then we have Sergio over here, who's known as Asgarth online, to help kind of check the code as well, or we hope that others check yourself. And they are open source, and they are online, and we invite you guys to go in there and check and add things to it. Here's a great example for Archange. We would love to see Hive Auth as a login method. So if he wants to jump in there and putting him on the spot, but we'd love to see that as an option. So there you go. There's a little an overview.
Thank you.
Hello, Brian of London here. Voted for your project, but didn't really ever have the time to delve into it. So hearing about it makes a huge difference. I have to put podping into this.
Okay.
You'll hear about podping later, so we will talk about that, because layer 2, I need an explorer for layer 2, and I can't do front ends. I'm terrible, but I can do it, so that's fantastic. It's not really a question, but it's just to say thank you for this. And Lightning. Oh, and Lightning, the whole thing I'm doing with Lightning as well. Again, front ends, reproducible user units can be on this with the code that people can just fork and take. So
yeah,
people can tip in Lightning
Yeah.
as well as Hive and back and forth, and all just seamless.
Okay, yeah. And okay, for a small moment, and who else has a question? We get the microphone to them. Over here in the front. I would say, like, we'd love to see that last part about developers. We'd love to see, we can help hopefully it just goes in there really quickly and easily into what we have on the Block Explorer, but we'd love to bring in other people, and I think this is a big part. Right now it's at, we've got 5 developers? Six? And the budget is 600, and we're doing fine. But if we add in some more projects at the community, it's not just like, oh, we want more money to do things that we want, but if the community would like to see more, and we find the developers, because sometimes you have lots of wants, not a lot of developers, that we are fine adding if the community is fine, adding a addendum proposal if there's more developers that want to keep working on different projects.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, is that PodPing was funded for a small amount, but I could definitely do a very small, like a $50 a day type thing to find someone to put into to sort of cross-subsidize and make a PodPing specific.
Yeah, we can do another proposal that's a bunch more, and then one of the things that we tend to do is have a little slush at the end to make sure that we can have a developer for X amount of time instead of like, oh, whoops, we don't have any more.
I just went to the website,
yes,
the .dev.
Yes.
And if I want to sign in, I'm prompted with signing with my active key. Why is that?
Answer behind you here. Is there active key?
Because actually the only reason to log in is because you want to use the market. And then we want to be sure that you have configured the account. Because if you just want to use the Block Explorer, don't bother with the login right now.
What about notifications, though?
Yeah, that will be needed. And at that point, we can allow posting key.
Okay, yeah, and notifications just on beta right now anyways, so it's not on there.
All right. Any more questions for the Jarvester?
All right. Any other question? Because if not, then you can come to me, Sergio, Josen, Igor, and give suggestions or indicate that you would love to work on a side project. Thanks, Roland.
Thank you, Jarv. Thank you. Oh, yeah. And congrats, because I didn't congratulate you with your win. It's great work. Cheers.